This episode of the Better Every Shift podcast is sponsored by The Fire Store. Learn more about getting the gear you need at prices you can afford by visiting thefirestore.com.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Better Every Shift podcast. My name is Aaron Zamza. I'll be your host today, and I am surrounded by brilliance. I'm surrounded by leaders that have been contributing to the fire service for a long time, and I have the greatest gig. I get to pick their minds and sometimes steal their stuff for speeches and presentations. And for those listening, we're all about giving listeners usable, tangible, actionable things. And one of the things that comes to my mind right away and why you're going to want to listen to this is we're going to define what is a Metro Chief and why the heck you as a firefighter, chief, or a member of the fire service should make note of what that is and know what that is and follow along and really understand it. So back again on the program, we have the active Metro Chiefs chief. I guess President. Is how we go. President. I like to say chief of Metro Chiefs, but Metro Chiefs president, of course, a friend of the show, John Butler. And also with us is a newcomer to the show, but I've heard so many wonderful things. I feel like I know you already. Chief Otto Drozd is here with us. And they're going to kind of explain a little bit, answer the questions. I'll just set the table a little bit. The resumes for both of these individuals is about 2 pages. And to summarize, we've spoken with Chief Butler before, Metro Chiefs president right now, past president of the IAFC. He's still recovering from that. I think we'll talk about that a little bit. And active fire chief of Fairfax County, Virginia, and Chief Otto Drozd, Metro Chiefs executive secretary, past president of Metro Chiefs, former fire chief of Seminole County Fire Department, Orange County, Florida Fire Rescue, and El Paso Fire. And a lot of years of experience, a lot of stories. Hopefully I'll bring all that out. But Chief Butler, welcome back to the program. And I want to start with you. What is Metro Chiefs?
Well, it's good to be back. I always like catching up with you and our audience. Great opportunity, and I'm even happier today because we have my partner in crime, my cohort here, Chief Otto Drozd. So what's the Metro Chiefs? The Metro Chiefs is an entity that I'm incredibly proud of. Like many of us, we've been involved in many things in the fire service and many boards and associations. I've seen my share, so has Chief Drozd. But the Metro is special. The Metro, it's you say to your kids all the time, everybody's special, and
yeah. I think I was told I was special for a lot of reasons. I'll tell you that. But yeah.
The Metro was founded in 1965, representing the largest fire departments, urban areas, in urban area departments with complex challenges. It started with a handful of fire departments, FDNY, Chicago, Baltimore, Detroit, Philly, DC Fire, and Newark, New Jersey. Those were the original members. There are many things that are unique about the Metro Fire Chiefs Association, and one of it is its construct. It's got 2 parents. The IAFC is a parent, and so is NFPA. Those 2 entities come together, and that's the governance. That's how the Metro is constituted. That's a very powerful and influential place where the Metro sits. If both of the parents realize its strength and its opportunities and what opportunities come from the Metro, it can be used. It can be used in a very effective way, and we are used and influence a lot of policies and ideology and doctrine in the fire service. We have you've got to have 350 fully paid firefighters to be designated as a Metro department, and let's say. There's certain numbers. There's some people say 25,000 fire departments in the U.S. Some say 30, some say 31,000, but let's just go with 25,000 for the
Okay.
sake of this conversation. 25,000 fire departments, and Otto can help me. What, 150 metro departments?
Yeah, so less than 1% are metro departments.
Okay. And to get, so just to clarify, this is the largest fire departments all come together, forming Metro, and Metro sits between the IAFC and NFPA, which you said just right on, Chief. Those are two of the most influential, probably, organizations within the fire service. And you got to have at least 350 fully paid firefighters to join. So there's credentials there that you need, right?
Sure.
Internationally as well.
International, yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about our international footprint and our continued efforts internationally, and to lead the fire service. The Metro drives how the fire service in North America goes, and it's now much more than just North America. We have friends in Latin America, Central, OBA, and the Mexican chiefs. We have the fire officers in the European Union. CTIF, which is another European-based cohort of fire chiefs and fire organizations, and our friends in Australia, South Africa, and recently we built a relationship and MOU with Africa, the African Fire Mission, and in Africa alone, just by demographics, there are easy 40 metro-sized departments just on the continent of Africa. And we're on a quest. We're on a quest to grow the membership of the Metro. And here's why. It's about leadership. Okay. And that's what's made this role that I'm in as the president of the Metro different from other roles. I know that the Metro is leading the fire service. Okay, we are leading the fire service, and I know there are other entities that would argue that, but I'll take that to the bank. And our brand is strong. I mean, I'm not going to make this podcast a whole braggadocious podcast, but I'm incredibly proud of our members and the collaboration and what we talk about, what we do, the problems we solve, the issues we solve. Otto and I were just in Bulgaria, in Sofia, Bulgaria, and we spent time with our colleagues from around the world talking about wildfires. It's not a California thing. It's not a Western U.S. thing. It was just amazing on how many things we had in common, and also the opportunities to learn from each other. I want to give Otto the mic.
Well, welcome to the show. Yeah, Chief Drozd. And it's great to finally meet you and see you because, Chief Butler, we've had on a couple of times. We've had on Chief Waldo, and a lot of members of Metro Chiefs, and they've all, mentioned Otto. They're like, hey, well, I was talking with Otto, and you seem to be the glue that holds the organization together. Is that kind of a great kind of synopsis of what you do?
Well, I'm kind of the constant with the Metro, right? So we kind of go and we have a board of directors, and each leaders in their own right, and we kind of from year to year we kind of move the Metro and keep on moving forward. And Chief Butler was exactly right. We have a saying in the Metro that says, "As goes the Metro, so goes the fire service." And one of our European members, he goes, I would modify that. He goes, "As goes the Metro, so goes the global fire service," is what he said. And that wasn't from us. That was from somebody affiliated to us. And the one unique thing about the Metro is a lot of other fire service organizations, they have members, they have several members. The Metro is one department, one member. It's only the head of that organization that can be a member of the Metro. So it's kind of a safe space for fire chiefs, to where we have sometimes some knockdown, drag out conversations, but it's done within the scope of people that are experiencing the same thing, have the same wants for our communities. Especially, we know who does the heavy lifting, which is our firefighters, and everything's focused on really connecting the Metro's leadership with the service that's provided through our firefighters in the field.
And Otto, this might be a good question for you: how do you manage? You got to now. Do you necessarily have to report? I would say to IFC and NFPA. I mean, how do you manage and massage that relationship between both of them?
That's actually a really great question, and it's kind of unique because we sit right in the middle. A lot of times, we make decisions that are not necessarily the IFC's point of view, not necessarily the NFPA's point of view, but as leaders within the largest fire service organizations in the world, we make decisions based on what's best, what we believe is best for the fire service. And over the years, sometimes it's a little left of where the IFC is or a little right of where NFPA is. But it's never really been too much of an issue because in the long run, even when we're out in front, and there's examples of that, a lot of times it's proven over time to be the correct choice.
Kind of comes back around. Now, is that, President Butler? See, I got it right. President, Chief President Metro. There's so
Just
many.
Any of that.
Yeah. Is that one of the things that you see your role is to manage that as well with Otto? But I'm sure there's a lot of communication, daily, weekly, like, hey, we need to make sure NFPA is understanding what we're trying to do here. I mean, is that kind of one of the major tasks that you have in front of you?
Well, our two parents respect us and they trust us, and they realize that sometimes like Otto said, sometimes our voice is slightly different, but we've always been respected and welcomed and belonging at the table, at the big table. And when it comes to some recommendations for political appointments at the national level, or or a couple of years ago, or last year, we had a position on criminalization of provider behavior on incidents, vis-a-vis Aurora, Colorado, which is one of our members and our member partners. So, as being that this small group of fire departments, 150 or so, that are covering a majority of the U.S. and the North American fire service, our voice is a little different. It's a little different than the IAFC. It's a little different than NFPA and other entities out there, and that's fine. We're okay with it. Chief of the department in FDNY, John Esposito, just presented to during our annual conference on lithium-ion batteries. Who else could have done that? No disrespect to smaller populations or densities. That's not the question here. But bringing these big global issues to the table, where the entire fire service learns from. So we're pretty focused. Not pretty. We are incredibly focused to represent those large, dense, population centers of the world.
So it's like you're a voice for both organizations in a way, right?
When it's used right, yeah, sure.
And a sounding board. And on that, Otto, I think is a pertinent question for you to ask about, right? What are the 2 or 3 biggest issues you guys are really trying to focus on now? And you've been with the organization almost 4 years. Has that shifted over that 4-year period? Give us a little insight as to kind of where you guys are trying to focus and, this particular moment.
So when we say, as goes the Metro, so goes the fire service, it's because we're always on the cusp of those greatest fire service challenges. Chief Butler made a good point. FDNY was there. They were presenting on lithium ion. Why? Because they have the most of those incidents. When we talk about mobile mobility and those kind of issues, our Metro departments see the problems sooner. They have the resources to research them, They have the resources to implement. And what we tell them is we have a responsibility to share that information with the rest of the fire service. Because while we're only 150 departments, the influence of the Metro, and this is why the NFPA and IAFC kind of says, let the Metro be the Metro, is that approximately 50% of career firefighters reside in Metro departments. And we represent only 1% of all departments, or less than 1%. And then we cover almost 50% of the US population. So when you talk about that influence and the challenges, we see them first. They're more acute, but we know that if they're happening in our Metro departments, we have a responsibility to take care of it because it's coming to a community near you. So when we look at the wildfires that were in LA, we were all there. In LA, we met with our Metro chiefs, and at our conference this year, and we took what happened in LA. We kind of did what we called Wildfire 360. So really getting recommendations for before, during, and after, everything from the preventative to the legislative to the rebuilding and what role we should be playing there. And then we took that on the road. Chief Maroney from LA County went with us to Sofia, Bulgaria, because what's happening in our metros here is happening globally. So wildfire is one that we're attacking. The lithium ion is one that we're at the forefront with our Metro departments. Which are some of the other ones that we're looking at? A lot of the health and wellness stuff. In fact, we had one of the researchers that came in and they said, oh no, we took blood samples after the LA wildfires, and now we're making recommendations on WUI fires, and not just WUI fires, but WUI fires that turn into urban conflagrations, right? So we're seeing what effect it has on our firefighters, and we're putting those programs in place to really protect firefighters when they're in that in-between the urban fires. So it's things like that, and we work with UL, FM, the Research Foundation at NFPA to really study these issues. And a lot of the things that they do, it's because we bring them to them and we say, we're starting to see this issue within our Metro departments. We want you to research it. So the solutions that we bring forward at our Metro conferences or at the Urban Fire Forum are evidence-based solutions to existing challenges within our fire service.
And there's a lot of relationships here. And I know Chief Butler, in our previous conversations, you really, you take a really good look at building relationships. You take pride in building relationships and communicating them. And so moving back to you on this, like as Chief Drozd was saying, you look at this problem, who needs to be involved with it? What do you, as a president, do you there's the obvious ones, but then give us a little insight as to what other kind of relationships you're looking to build then to help deal with the issues that we're seeing.
Well, you're preaching our preach when it comes to relationships. That's our high octane. That's what the Metro does well, better than many others. When Otto and I walk into the room in some foreign nations where our colleagues have congregated, they take note. They welcome us. We know each other by first name. We have broken bread together in different parts of the world, on this side of the Atlantic, or in Europe, or South America. Those relationships are not like, well, I'm here for this conference for 3 days and I got to wear a name tag. These relationships are so much deeper. Some examples, not international. Well, I guess it is international. The IAFF, the International Association of Firefighters. We have an incredible long-standing relationship with the IAFF when we talk labor management alliance and wellness fitness initiatives, and some other things we're working on. The Western Fire Chiefs Association, we're working with them on the price, the log chain, the supply chain for apparatus. The price of apparatus are through the roof, and the build time is off the charts. So we're putting our heads together. These relationships are not just for handshakes and a cold pint, but
Right.
it's
There's a
it's
lot more
about,
to it than that, isn't there?
yes,
Yeah.
it's about getting things done, and the Metro does that well. We have a long history of getting things done, and not only being in a room, but coming with solutions as well.
Yeah. And relationships, that the other part that when I talk to other Metro Chiefs, they talk about, like they feel like it's home in a way, from the standpoint of they can really rely on each other because you're in a room of 150 people. And Otto, it's okay if I call you Otto. It's
Sure.
Chief
Sure.
the Chief Drozd I love, but there's Chief and Chief. And a funny joke must be if I ever go to Metro Chiefs and say Chief, there's going to be 150
Oh
of
yeah,
you say it, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
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 I had to say the obvious joke because the firefighter in me couldn't resist. But I think that's something that's kind of unique. And that's what a lot of other chiefs that I've interviewed say, you really feel part of this room and this culture, and you can get a little down and dirty from, no, I shouldn't say dirty, but you can really get into the issues that they're facing, and someone across the table understands that. Right. And I think, Otto, that's something I've heard your name brought up with that you take pride in that those chiefs feel comfortable to bring these problems forward. And so how do you go about making sure that stays that way?
Right. And it really goes back to our founding, right? It was those largest departments that came together, and it was only one person from that department. It was the operational chief of those departments, right? So our fire chiefs, whether they're named commissioners or chief of department, it's just those folks. And in fact, every time we get new members in, we bring them in, we put our arms around them, and they go, I'll never miss a Metro again. I'll never miss a Metro, because it's not just the chiefs. We understand that this is a family business, right? So we bring in the partners, and they have long-term relationships. They actually have a better time than
yeah.
a lot of the chiefs do at our conferences. But we bring in new people. We had the chief from Ecuador was there this time. We had a brand new chief that we reached out, and we went to Singapore to meet him, and he came in. And so we're learning off of each other, but it's in an atmosphere that nobody fears being called out, right? Because we call it a safe space for a reason, and that's because it is, and I think something that we haven't talked about that really adds some texture to the Metro is that when our members retire, they become senior members. They don't leave, because a lot of times you see, a member of the department, they'll leave and they'll take 30 years of experience with them, and you may never hear from them again. That's not the case in the Metro. We have a senior member category, which we value. And a lot of the problems that are happening today, they've seen them. It may be a different shade of gray, but they've seen it, and they mentor a lot of our new chiefs, and they're a huge resource within our organization as well.
How often do you get together as Metro Chiefs? Do you have, because look, my joke about Chiefs is you all have 3 cell phones, 2 iPads, an assistant, and 17 people behind you getting in line. So how do you guys, or how do you as an organization think about, all right, how can we organize, our conferences? How can we organize our meetings?
Yeah, so we have, a couple of main things that we do every year. So we have our annual conference, and that's the big meeting where all of the membership comes. And then we also have a business meeting at Fire Rescue International where we gather as well.
Okay.
And so we have those 2 main business meetings, but then we have something that's called the Urban Fire Forum. And that's a much smaller group. So those issues that are starting to take place, starting to impact the fire service, we bring together the board of the Metro, and we bring together some at-large departments that are in the Metro, but it's only about 25 people. And a lot of times we bring in what we call our super Metros. So the very largest of the large come in, and we meet with the researchers, and we propose topics. We publish position papers on different topics. Over the last probably 10 years, there's been 30 position papers. We released, and that's part of my job as well. In fact, I sent Chief Butler kind of the tentative agenda for that going forward.
That meeting is coming up.
Yeah, that's in September of every year. And then off of that meeting, there's endorsed papers that go out that we distribute to the entire fire service to really look at those most severe challenges and then offer recommendations on how to deal with them.
Chief Butler, can I get some insight? What are the main topics here? Give us a little juice for the show.
I don't think I'm speaking out of school. We'll talk this year in September. We'll talk about health and wellness of our responders. One thing that's going to be somewhat new, we want to spend a little time talking about, civil defense. There's a lot of migration between the conventional fire service and civil defense. We're seeing some movement in that space where it's a little bit more than the traditional, red trucks, and it's kind of not homeland security in the sense that but civil defense as all hazards or hazards focused. We do want to spend some time talking and coming up with some shareable information and position on violence against the responders. It seems that's happening. I shouldn't say more because it might have always been happening. Violence against, we've kind of desensitized violence against law enforcement. It's almost like par for the course, but we're seeing that with EMS workers, firefighters. It's always been there. We probably haven't documented it well, and we just kind of shrugged it off. Like, yeah, there was a drunk. There was a drunk who punched me in the eye while I was trying to get a blood pressure, or there was a behavioral health case who a mental health case that just kind of went sideways. So we kind of shrug it off and don't document it, but it's happening quite a bit internationally, not only here.
The Fire Store, equipping protectors with passion. Every decision we make as a company is about you, our customer. We wouldn't be where we are today without you, and we don't take that lightly. We understand that having the right gear can mean the difference between life and death. Our goal is to get you the gear you need, when you need it, at prices you can afford. Visit us at thefirestore.com for everything but the truck, and shop our family of brands, including Streamlight, MSA, Lion, Fleer, and more. Now let's get back to the show.
Those are a couple of things. We still have a lot to do and learn about wildfire and the true urban, the wildland urban interface, and it's outside fire coming on inside. LA City was not in the wildland.
Right.
So.
Yeah. We've had some great discussions to say that it's not just a California problem. You guys already said that, and you really placed emphasis. You're exactly right. It's coming to a community near you. Right. Really, like we have to all be prepared for that.
Sure.
So those are great topics that you're talking about, and I didn't even ask. So your term is a year, correct?
Sure. Yes.
And you didn't get any time to even recover from the IAFC presidency, did you?
I did. I had 8 months.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's not too bad. Knowing you, I thought it'd be like I had 8 days, and that was good. Right? Yeah.
Right. No.
So you started, and how is the board selected and president selected?
Mm-hmm.
What's that process?
Yeah, so I think that's actually one of the strengths of the Metro, because if you look at some other, we'll take the IFC, right? Usually, if you're going to be president of the IFC, you come in and you run for second vice president, right? So you serve time as second vice president, first vice president, then you're president, and you're the immediate past. With the Metro, our board members matriculate through the board seats. So we have an alternate board member, treasurer, secretary, vice president, president, and then immediate past president. So we have 7 years of continuity. But Chief Butler's in his 6th year. So it's not that he just came into the organization and had to learn it. he's been learning it from the ground up over the last 6 years, even while he was the IAFC president. And I think that really lends itself to the strength of the Metro. And a couple of other topics that are kind of cool that we're going to be addressing. One is we know we have an aging population within the United States, right? We know that EMS is 80% of what we do. In fact, our chief from Singapore kind of primed the subject, right? He said, well, what we do is we look at what is our demand by age. We look at what is our population growth, and then we project what are we going to need in 5 years and 10 years to match the need that's going to be growing within the community. So what we're going to do is kind of take that data and build a formula for our Metro members to really project out, okay, if you have a certain amount of ambulances, right, today, and your population is of a certain age, and they have a certain demand on your system, we can project population growth, we can project the aging of society, and now we're going to tie that to, okay, at the same demand, how many units are you going to need? And is that sustainable? And if it's not sustainable, then what programs do you need to put in place to make sure that you keep demand either steady or reduce demand through those programs? So that's one of them. And then the other one, which there was a great presentation on Grenfell and really what happened at Grenfell Tower. It was, 20 years of incompetence is how the one guy put it.
Yes.
20 years,
Yeah.
20 years of incompetence, 20 years of relying on a codes and standards system that was inadequate. And, in the fire service, we learn hard lessons. And right now, when we look at the single stairwell issue that's proliferating within the United States, we're starting to go down replacing codes and standards with the legislative process. So one of the things that we're going to be tackling at this year's Urban Fire Forum is building a fire service leader toolkit to really show, okay, what are those proactive things that we can do to combat the degradation of our codes and standards? Because we know that that's going to kill community members. It's going to put firefighters at risk. And it may not happen today. It may not happen 10 years from now, but it's going to end in some type of tragedy.
It does, right? And unfortunately, that's what gets people's attention. And what you're saying here is we're trying to be proactive in this,
right,
and learn from.
That's right.
Right. And I think that that's a great segue into the international side of things too, right? So we have a tendency in the U.S. to just that happened in another country, but I think what you had said, Chief Drozd, is that that's going to happen here. That type of fire can manifest itself here in the U.S. And if your arms of Metro keep expanding, we can bring those lessons back to us a little bit faster, probably more efficiently. Right? Is that kind of the idea behind the international expansion?
Yeah, it is. And I'm gonna let Chief Butler weigh in on this in a second, but it's interesting because what I do is I kind of I built a map for Chief Butler, and I'm like, okay, this is where we have US, Canada, the majority, right? But then we have members across the world, then through our partnerships. So we start putting this all on the map to where you can see the metros all over the globe. And then what we did is we go, okay, where are we not at? Who's not at the table that we need at the table in order to get a better understanding of global fire service issues? And to Chief Butler's credit, that's why this year we signed a memorandum of understanding with the African Fire Mission because there's over 40 Metro eligible departments within Africa. Chief, you want to follow up on that?
Yeah, sure. So, we, like many organizations, we have a strategic plan, and we have, objectives that we want to hone in on. and developing and expanding the international footprint is a big deal to the Metro, to the board, and to me personally. Um, and Otto mentioned African Fire Mission. That's a new relationship, a new MOU, and it'll allow us to exchange, partner metros on both the African continent. They come visit us. We visit with them and do some education in there, as well as a pathway for them to get some surplus equipment or used equipment. A lot of these underprivileged metro
Oh, sure.
departments to use stuff that we no longer are using. That's just AFM, Africa Fire Mission. We have a relationship with the Australian Fire Authority Council, like I mentioned, the South African Emergency Service Institute, OBA in South America, and like I mentioned, the fire chiefs in Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
to name a few. I'm sure I'm missing one or two others. But this year, we're excited to start to think about having an international liaison position on our board. Which I think will bring a lot of value, both to identify opportunities, trends, challenges. Just because we're the North American Fire Service, doesn't mean we have all the answers. It's humbling when we travel to go in Europe and elsewhere. When Otto and I travel, how much we walk away with new learning that you can't be too pompous to believe you have it all figured out in the
Yeah.
U.S. and
Yeah.
and that's great.
Well, to our listeners, just take a deep breath. He's not talking about European helmets yet or any of that stuff yet, but right there, but simple things we can take
Right.
from, from our brothers and sisters across the seas and all around the world. And for those that don't know what a globe is, Google it. Cause our listeners now, every map is on in their cell phone, but I love the old globe and spin it. Let's see where we're not. But I think, one of the things that you guys touched on was just health and wellness. And I'll say, a theme that I also have with chiefs and something that's important to all of us in the fire service is our chiefs. My observation is that chiefs and Chief Butler, you and I have talked about this is, and Chief Drozd, I'm sure you're the same, is you as a chief put yourself in second seat a lot of times, which is great, but we also need you to put yourself first from a health and wellness standpoint and mental health standpoint. What kind of resources and things are you as Metro kind of pushing out there to get that mindset back out to your chiefs and to the field?
Well, I mean, in recent year or two or more, we've probably spent a decent amount of time talking about, like, mental health. We've had chief officers that succumb to suicide and other mental injuries, if you will. So that's a big thing. We have a really good relationship with Dr. Sarah Jonke and the work she's doing to help in that space, and little things like sleep hygiene, rest, and why do we sleep, and spending time giving stage time to these topics, because to your point, if we're not healthy, our organizations aren't healthy.
Yeah.
And
Well, as
so on.
the Metro, so goes the World
Right.
Fire Service,
Sure.
said somebody. Look at, I do
Sure.
pay attention, you guys.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's still room. There's still opportunities to improve and advance on our health and fitness. And we're trying to figure it out. We'll put some thought into it in the coming conference or two. We're working with our vice president, and you know her, Chief Tricia Wolford. She's got some fresh ideas as well, and she and me and Otto are going to continue thinking of ways that we can advance health and wellness.
Yeah.
For the what we call the five bugle chief.
Well, and I've gone to some smaller conferences, and one of the things I thought was really cool is that they would do, some conferences do a morning workout or even just a walk, just to get out into nature, do a nature walk to start a conference and maybe limiting the schedules a little bit, limiting the dings, pings, and emails that you guys get somehow.
Sure.
And Otto, have you seen that kind of that emphasis, and has that been kind of brought to your attention, and how are you kind of looking at that? And because you're kind of a manager of all of the Chiefs, and you kind of observe a lot, and I guess I would love your take on it too. Do you see the same thing? And you, when you were a chief, we need to maybe keep placing that emphasis on taking care of ourselves so we can take care of everyone else.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. And the advantage that a lot of the metros had, that I had as a metro chief, is I had a really well-heeled health and wellness division, and we had the resources, and we had the peer fitness trainers, and they would get me into the gym in the morning or in the afternoon in order to do those things. And then so a lot of our metro departments are the original wellness and fitness initiative folks, but they do have to look after themselves. And to your point, Aaron, in fact, I just had the conversation. Next year, our conference is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Chief Lipsky is
right down the road from me. Yep. I just had a conference with Chief Lipsky, actually. So, the AA, they don't like the AA Ron and AA Ron in the same room. If, you know what I mean?
There you go. Yeah. And so I was speaking to his folks yesterday, and we're building into the metro an hour in the morning for health and wellness. And then we're also, Chief Butler mentioned Sarah Jenke, right? And so we put out, and this is one thing we do, departments to gather information, not only for our metro members, but for our researchers as well. So she's really looking at the leadership of the fire service and the mental health and wellness of the leadership of the fire service. So that's going to be a topic at our next conference, along with wellness and mindfulness type of endeavors within our fire service, because really we serve nobody if we can't keep ourselves healthy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I hope our listeners have gotten a bigger snapshot of what Metro is, why we need Metro, and how pivotal, bringing a lot of those chiefs and internationally and nationally together. I mean, and I'll start with you, Chief Butler. What's one more thing you want the fire service to know and embrace maybe about the Metro Chiefs?
Well, while it's a small group, relatively 150, 160 contemporaries, colleagues, in a space. The information that's shared and the information that's provided and given is not just for us. It is not. Most often what I bring back from Urban Fire Forum, or in fact, many things we do, we just post it. We post our Urban Fire papers. We're going to advance and continue ways of sharing what occurs at our conference, and so on. The point I'm trying to make here is what we have, we share, and we need to share it. And it can only be shared if there's an environment where, there couldn't be two chief officers from Fairfax, Virginia in the room, because my words would be measured, and that goes for any fire chief, any sitting fire chief. But a space where you don't have to look over your shoulder on what you say and how you say it, and out of that comes some really good deliverables. That's free to the world, and we're continuing to find ways to share what the thought processes and papers we come up with.
Yeah. And you don't have to be a Metro chief or a Metro department to gain from what the Metro Chiefs are developing and taking care of, right? And Absolutely. So with that, Chief Drozd, where do we go if we want more information on what Metro is doing and working on, or if we want to even get in contact to reach out to someone who, from Metro? What's the best way?
Well, you can always contact me. I'm kind of the conduit to a lot of the stuff, but we do have our YouTube channel, which we're starting to post a lot of our own podcasts and a lot of our information there. And we're going to be posting some of the presentations that happened at the Metro. If they Google Urban Fire Forum, a lot of the position papers are there for the fire services use. And so those are, I think, an underused or utilized resource. And then, the other thing that we do is we sit on maybe 40 different committees to really make sure that we're looking out for the best interest of the fire service in everything that we do. And the thing that strikes me and that really endears the Metro to me is that, the people that go there and the chiefs that get to that level, at their core, they're firefighters, and they want the best for the fire service. Of course, they're under different pressures, right? Because a lot of times, you may look at the chief and say, well, the chief isn't doing this or isn't doing that. And certainly, they get pressures from above and they get pressures from the department themselves. And they have to manage in that and lead within that atmosphere. So a lot of times, it's kind of like the Metro, right? We have the IAFC and the NFPA on either side. Sometimes we bring them along. We bring them along in the direction that the fire service needs to go. And I think we're better off for it.
Absolutely. Well, definitely. Well, both of you, thank you for the time, by the way. I've learned a lot, and I hope our listeners got a better snapshot into what Metro Chiefs is. Google it and get some of the information, especially the position papers. The essence of, I think, the organization, it sounds like, just trying to make the fire service better, bringing people from all over the world, in this particular case, some of the largest departments, chiefs, in to create maybe one voice and create a direction for the rest of the fire service, all in the hopes of making us better. So with that, I always end, and Chief Butler, you know this question really well, so I'll have you lead. What are you working on to get better?
Well, what I'm working on to get better is to make others better. Now that sounds kind of corny, but and that kind of dovetails into the Metro. We Otto and me and our board are working to develop a executive development program. I know I've said the word develop many times, but that's one of our objectives. Where do you go after you've been well learned as a chief officer? What is next? What is next after a bachelorate level or master's level? You're not invested or considering a doctoral program, but what other professional development opportunities are there? And also to bring in our international partners who are having the same challenge. So to answer your question, how am I getting better is by starting to think about creative ways and innovative ways to make others better. That sounds real Hallmark, but that's true.
That's our tagline. I love it. Yeah. It's great. It's an exponential better if you think about it, right? Chief Drozd, what are you doing and working on to get better?
I think I have one of the best jobs in the fire service because I get to work with global leadership of the fire service. And every year we change what we're working on because the challenges are different every year. I would tell my firefighters, I go, what's the biggest challenge that you have today? And they would name it, right? And I go, as a fire service and as leaders, yes, there's that largest challenge. It may be lithium ion, it may be one of the others, right? But as soon as we solve that, the next one is peeking its head around the corner to take its place. So what I try and communicate is, as leaders of the fire service, and I take a lot of leadership lessons from observing others, right? So I was in a mall one time and my kids go to my wife and they go, Mom, can we run up the down escalator? And she turns to me and she looks at them. She goes, ask your father. And, I'm a firefighter at heart. So I go, yeah, knock yourselves out,
Burn that energy.
These three little kids are running up the down escalator, right? And so they get halfway up and a funny thing happens, right? they start moving down. So they have to keep on working to get to that top step. And that's how I view the fire service, and excellence within the fire service is we got to keep moving. We got to keep churning, because as soon as we stop, we're going to move down that escalator and come right back to the bottom. So if we want to stack right, we need to get better every day, and we got to keep on churning, because that next challenge is peeking its head around the corner.
Yeah. So you just focus on looking ahead and staying ahead of the curve, and obviously absorbing anything you can along the path, right?
Yeah, and gathering the best researchers with our leaders in the fire service, developing the programs that are going to meet the challenges of today and the ones that are coming tomorrow.
Yeah, and it seems like that problem, like you had said, the next fire service problem is here, and then the next one is on top of that, right? Before we even know it. So we have to keep working on getting better. And thank you guys so much for helping us do that, and being a guest of the program. And hopefully, Chief Butler, another appearance, and you get a free coin and a T-shirt. So we really appreciate all your insights. And Chief Drozd, I look forward to many more conversations with you as well. And hopefully we'll get to meet face to face sometime. And again, appreciate and thank you for the time. And for our listeners, if you have questions for us on the show, if you have feedback, you can email us at bettereveryshift@firerescue1.com. And truly appreciate you listening. I hope you learned a little bit about Metro Chiefs, a little bit about leadership, all in the hopes of just trying to do what we all here really focus on, which is learning something, doing something, and sharing something to make you and those around you better every shift. Thanks for listening, everybody.